What's up, guys?
Hey, good
Hi.
evening. How are you guys?
Doing
Hey,
good.
doing good.
We always have to do the quick shift of the up and down, and then we get it working again.
Yeah,
Yes. How are you guys going so far?
yeah.
A little,
The last week has improved.
last week has
Okay.
improved. Yeah,
That's good.
it's a little bit. It's a little bit of everything. We're almost like to the T, like 400 miles in, where we're sitting right now. Granted, this is a trail town off trail, but almost exactly 400 miles trail miles in, and today's our 18th day.
Yeah.
So averaging 22.222222 miles a day, which is not the average we're needing to hold or have to hold to finish this trail, or that we wanted to, but it's going to be such a long trail that we have still like 150 days to average out the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
When we starting from the east, it's the most difficult part of the trail first. So we knew that this would happen, especially as I was just getting broken in. So our first 2 days we did 17 and 18 miles. And then a lot of our mileage was really determined by public land access. So we did 17, 18, and then we had to do 37 because it was 37 miles of private road.
It was an aggressive third. It was an aggressive
It was an
third
aggressive
day.
day.
Yeah.
And then we've just been like trying to hold. We did the math and figured out that we need to hold a 28 average for the rest of the trail,
including Neros and zeros.
Yeah, so that's without taking any days off. We need to average 28 for what we've got remaining, which is doable. So it's like any day that we do more than 28, we've earned a little bit of a Nero day. So,
and like we said, it's trying to shift that mind around it. Like we have about 400 or 500 more miles of kind of bouncy terrain, which isn't hard necessarily, but it's kind of bouncy, and you're doing more ups and downs throughout the day, more bushwhacks. We've had bushwhacks, but then we have almost 3,000 miles of like straight flat, like not purely flat, but very flat, that we'll be able to hold the pace that we want to do, that 30s, instead of just doing grab bags of 30s, like every so often, we'll be able to hit that stride again. And for such a long trail, it's not similar to any of the other trails this year, because it's so long that you can't break yourself in 2 weeks and then be like, okay, I have time to recover, because you got so much more.
No, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I mean,
go ahead.
Yeah, and then in the first, because I guess we haven't chatted since we started.
No.
So we have a great first day story if you want to hear it.
wait, what's the first day story?
The weather.
Oh yeah.
Always
the weather.
So we were planning to start April 30th. And then Charlie, who's this trail angel who was helping us out in Vermont, calls us and he goes, have you guys checked the weather? And we're like, yeah, whatever. We saw it's going to rain. We can handle rain. He's like, no, look at the wind. And we look and it's like 40-mile-per-hour gusts, which is like 70 kilometers per hour gusts, and sleet and snow and hail. And we're just like, And he's like, there's a lot of dead trees up there. Like, you guys are going to die.
So he still dropped us off that morning, and there was like a shelter half a mile into the trail system. And when he dropped us off, it was like clouds had rolled in on us. It was profuse. It was really raining hard the first 2 hours. And then we had like a small window, and we're like, okay, let's get to the shelter. If we feel comfortable, we'll continue hiking. If not, we'll call it there. Got to the shelter at like 8 a.m. and it was just
like 5 minutes later, we just hear like whoosh, and we're like, okay, we're staying here all day.
So it was literally 15 hours of nonstop rain. So we're like, okay, again, it's just rain. And then we wake up the next morning and it's just blanketed in snow. So it wasn't just rain, but
and there's like deadfall everywhere. Branches are snapped off trees.
Man,
there's like fresh new trees that are down across the trail, like living trees that have been cracked in half by this windstorm. So we decided to just not track that day. So we just did a half mile back and then started again. So our official start date's May 1st, even though we like stayed in a shelter on the 30th.
Yeah, since the shelter was so close, we were like, you know what, we're just going to go touch the sign and then start the next day. We're not going to count half a mile. That would destroy the average that we already knew would be hit pretty hard in the beginning. So the first day already gave us something.
For sure.
My gosh, yeah. probably didn't expect that in beginning of May, end of April.
No, it's like pretty weird weather.
Rain
Yeah.
magnet, big rain magnet, giant rain magnet. It's nonstop. Okay, it's been sunny for the past week, so we'll cut her some slack.
Yeah.
But the first week on
The
trail,
first 2 weeks on trail,
oh my God, it was
nonstop rain. And that's not normal for this part
No.
of the, like they're having a really late spring.
I told her every single day that we were getting poured on, I'm like, we're going to whatever we need to go to, a shaman, an out west healer, an out east healer. We're banishing these rain demons out of you because it's not good.
And I've started every trail except one out of all of them that I've done in the rain. Like,
Okay.
and even in the desert, I have started the trail in a rainstorm in the desert. So I'm just cursed, I guess.
Yeah, looks like it.
And the thing is, now that we're a partnership with hiking and partnership
You're
in life,
cursed too.
I'm cursed too. I didn't sign up for that part of it, but somehow it came over here. So Florida Trail, Potomac, New England, they all got me with the wet again. It's nonstop, but it's getting better. It's getting better with the sunshine.
That's
Yeah,
good.
That's good. And the breaking in went okay?
Yeah, well, I had some tendonitis because of that 37-mile day. I just got really, really stiff. And I guess it just pulled something in it's called the peroneal tendon. It's the stirrup that goes underneath your heel and then up to the back of your calf.
Yeah.
And I got some tape. I took some anti-inflammatories, and now just yesterday it was like, okay, it's fully healed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And when we were in quarantine, I think we had touched on this last time, like right before we left, Magpie was like, yeah, I'm just going to get the trail. I'm comfortable with rocking out these miles. Like when I built the itinerary for the first 10 days, I'm like, Magpie, this is an aggressive itinerary for people that have been on trail for a while. And it's the mentality. It's our mentality being like, oh yeah, we'll suffer through it. We'll do the pain. And once we got on trail, it's kind of like, yeah, I knew that we were going to have to be flexible and kind of figure out the days as they came. And
well, and some of it too was that 37-mile road walk. Part of it was that we were in Vermont and New York so early that the state campgrounds hadn't opened yet, and they wouldn't open for another 2 weeks. And so we legally couldn't stop, even though it's like, okay, there's a campground here and here. We looked at it, and then when we got closer, it was like, oh, nothing opens for another 2 weeks. We can't stay there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you should ask Magpie about my mile estimate.
Oh my God. He underestimates. We were planning to be in Ithaca today. Ithaca is 60 miles from here. He underestimated the length of this section by 60 miles.
Well, you can blink and it's over. If you pack out less food, you're gonna push harder because you need to get to the next town.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me.
No,
I need to
no.
eat food to keep moving. You freak.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, she wasn't in the middle of the section. She wasn't thrilled when she found out that piece of information. I'm like, well, we just got to push harder at some point. And it made the most sense to come into the town that we were in, though. But yeah, you don't like when I read maps that way.
Well, I don't know why I keep trusting your estimates.
Oh,
because they're always wrong.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, he said it's like 100 miles. I'm sure it's just 100 miles. I'm like, no, that's never worked. He's never correct.
I usually try to round down so my mind grabs it easier. So like if I round from 30 to 20 down, I'm like, okay, if I find that I have 10 more to do, I'm just going to push through and do it. But
my mind doesn't work like that. I need to know how to pace myself.
Yeah.
So it's balancing the mentalities again, hiking together, but it's still amazing hiking together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna be that's definitely different from the last few trails that you've done. So it's good to not be hiking alone anymore.
Oh God, so good. I think actually this morning, I was narrating like completely down the trail. Like I was going into a Scottish or an Irish.
It was a non-accent. He was trying to do like David Attenborough voice, but it just kept skewing into like Jamaican somehow. The wild magpie in her natural habitat, and like narrating everything I was doing behind me, which was funny for a little while. He kept doing it for an hour and a half.
Oh, I did it all morning. An hour and a half is
It
it was longer.
It was, and eventually I had to turn around and just be like, "Can you stop?"
So from my perspective, yes, it's great hiking together. From her perspective,
At least I was in front. I didn't have to smell his he was eating 4-day-old hot dogs. So I didn't have to smell the results of that being in front.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's been some classic mistakes that I continue to make, but it is what it is.
You tried to pack out hot dogs again. We just went resupply shopping and he's like, "Ooh, I should get hot dogs." I'm like, "No, you shouldn't. Remember what happened yesterday?" No.
I think as hikers, you have to have that reset button in your mind being like, oh, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't that bad. And you have to reset.
You were complaining about it like this morning and you were like, "Oh, hot dogs are a good idea."
But I was complaining about it in a narration type voice.
Yes, you were.
So it's been amazing. Yeah, my perspective, awesome hiking together. Hers, fence-ish.
It's the funny kind of being irritated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that the campsites were still closed. Does it mean that you really started hiking way before the normal season starts? Because you wouldn't assume so.
No, I would assume most NCTers, if they're going westbound, they might even start a little bit earlier, like April 1st. That would build a good buffer in.
Yeah.
But it's just the COVID. So New York was still doing.
Yeah, they're doing like
COVID
phased
measures.
reopenings. And I mean, some of these, like in a normal year, would open May 1st or April 15th. And some of it too is just like the state just thinks people don't go camping until May 15th, which is a like federal holiday or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like the second day, so the first night we were able to camp on the long trail. And then the second day, it was a road walk past the town of Middlebury, Vermont. And there was like a chunk in there that you either had to pay like $200 for a motel, and it would still have been a big push to get there.
It would have been a 32-mile day to get to that town. And it's like a fancy resort town. And so it was ridiculously expensive hotels.
Or you had to illegal camp. And especially not just publicity wise, but like especially being very public and with the tracker that we're doing and all of this stuff. One, not looking good that way, but two, just kind of principles, not doing it on people's properties. So we actually had to reach out to this trail angel, and she kind of lived about a mile off the corridor in this little town of Ripton, I believe.
Yeah,
I think it was
Ripton.
called Ripton. And it made our day shorter on our second day, but literally was the only legal place to camp within this like big bubble. So the NCT is kind of like, it's notorious for that. It's like you have to make the campsite kind of delegates what you're doing a lot for the day.
Yeah.
So like if you can hit a camp spot at 32 or 33, you're doing 32 or 33, not any more, not any less. Or if you're doing an 18, you're doing 18, not any more, not any less.
A lot of the time our options were like, we can camp after 21 miles or we can camp at 32. That's it.
Okay.
We can't have camp at 31. We can't camp at 26. Like we have to do either one of those. And then if we get to camp, 21 miles, we're like, it's 2 p.m. But then you have to like decide, like, do I have 12 more miles in me? I just ate lunch. I'm kind of sleepy. Like,
and that was the mindset too, a lot for the beginning, at least the beginning 2 weeks. Like we're this past week, which is our third week, we're starting to get into that groove more. But like the first 2 weeks, we had to let the brain be okay with saying, we're going to stop at 2 o'clock, even though we've done 18 miles, or else we could push and hurt ourselves, because my body might be a little more there, but it's like Magpie for the first trail, everybody needs that break in time.
and it's a lot of pavement walking too, which is a really bad way to break yourself in on the trail because it's really, really hard on the joints.
Yeah.
So it's like, I could definitely starting a trail, do 32 miles on Pine Duff Trail that's soft under the feet, but 32 miles on pavement is another matter, especially when it's every single day and your feet never get a break from it. So we took some conservative decisions in the beginning, and I think it was the right choice, especially considering there's towards the other side of the trail, there's also a lot of camping hassles, but there's no option. It's like, you have to hike 42 miles today. That's it.
Yeah.
So like when we get towards that side of it too, like we know we're going to have some big days, and that's going to make up for our shorter days at the beginning, and we'll be in shape for it.
Yeah. That would be good. And how is the community? Did you come across some other hikers or not yet?
No.
There's nobody on the NCT.
There's nobody.
It's just us.
No, it was just us again. I was super gung ho on the long trail. We might see someone, but
The weather was awful,
the
so
weather
nobody
was
was
awful,
out
so
Yeah,
nobody was
that's
there.
it, probably.
So like this trail is the community is reaching out and making our community instead of the community being on trail. So like what we've done is when we stayed with that woman the second day, we camped in her yard, and she was actually a triple crowner. She was a big hiker. So like we're having these interactions with people that aren't through hiking the trail, but that are still involved in kind of our journey and hence involved in the trail. So like we also had Mark,
who lives in New York,
Yeah.
who like is a like follows us on YouTube, and it like came out and like hiked a couple of miles with us because he lives nearby. We had Jim and Elizabeth also,
Yeah.
who are from Syracuse.
and it was super sweet. So like they didn't know, but they got married at this little inn that was literally on the NCT's corridor. Like the miles that they linked up with us, we walked through
We
this
walked
town.
right past the place where they got married. It was cute.
Okay, that's nice.
What was
Nice.
it? name?
Uh,
Casanova?
Casanova.
And like they got married at this little inn before they ever knew about the NCT, and it's literally right on the corridor. So it was super cool. So like we're sharing these little mile segments with day hikers or people that are like excited for our journey and excited for all that. But through hikers, I don't think we're gonna see one.
No. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We will see two. We will see two, but they'll be going the opposite way. We know of two people that started in Ohio and are walking to Vermont. So they're doing half of the NCT this year.
Okay.
So they're doing a good chunk of change, like 2,300, 2,400 miles, but we're only going to get to interact with them for like, again, a few hours, and then it's bye-bye. So
Yeah.
he's stuck with me. So that's why I got to do the voices, just to make it sound like there's another person, right?
Right.
That's it.
Oh, it was awesome, guys. Like it was pure like 4 or 5 hours of just
It
narrating.
wasn't that long because we were only
It was
on trail
from-
for 3 hours this morning.
It was from 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. 4 hours.
Yeah,
it was 4 hours.
actually.
It was awesome.
She thinks it's only 1.5 hours. It wasn't that bad for sure.
I think
Well-
I just put in my headphones at some point and was like, la la la.
The reason she thinks it was 1.5 hours is because every so often she would get super upset and be like, stop. And then I would have to drop back and talk to myself and narrate like quieter. Like in the video of today, you'll like hear like upwards momentum in the voice, and then like whispering me whispering with like the same accent. So it was just, I was dropping back a little more so she didn't hear it.
Yeah. I'm surprised you didn't do it with the lady that we hitchhiked in with.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
She was very nice. We got a ride from this lady who's a mushroom hunter, and
Oh yeah, that's a great
she was
story,
actually
too.
going the opposite direction. She had just finished a night shift at work, and she was going to her day shift at her next job, and she was going south, and we were trying to hitch north, but she pulled up next to us and was like, where are you going? And like went out of her way to drop us off.
Oh, that's really nice.
She was super
Sure.
sweet. Yeah.
And she offered us a ride back to the trail in the morning tomorrow too. Like
Oh,
amazing lady. And this was our first time hitching in like 2
2
years. None of the other trails in the past. GDT we didn't hitch.
No.
VIT,
No.
Sea to Sky.
No.
And then any of the trails I did earlier this year, like we haven't hitched in 2 years. So this was our first hitch, and it was in 5 minutes, which was awesome.
Wow.
really great.
Yeah.
Especially in an area where it's not really that common, most likely for hikers at least, to be
Mm.
hitching. Or is it?
We're pretty close to so right now, the last 3-4 days, we've been on a developed trail system called the Finger Lakes Trail. And it's mostly oriented towards day hikers. You can tell from the way that they lay out the maps. It's very much oriented towards day hikers. But the town that we're in now, Cortland, is actually a college town, and they have a big ecology department. And so I think probably it's not that uncommon for people to hitchhike to and from this state park, especially because it's only like 10 miles to town.
Okay.
So I think it's pretty common to see young people with backpacks. Nobody like gave us the like, what are you doing, honk? So
Yeah, it was still a good chunk of change away. Like I was trying to be hopeful because the road that we hitched on was somewhat busy, but not super busy. So I was trying to be hopeful because we pushed hard to get there in the morning. I'm like, oh yeah,
like,
it's
we'll call a
fine.
taxi. It'll be okay.
And I knew in my head that it was going to be like an hour or two until we got
he
arrived.
tried to call a taxi. He got like Cortland College taxi, and the guy goes like, "Oh, we would love to give you a ride, but none of our drivers showed up to work today."
So you got to get the good with the bad. You're balancing the good with the bad sometimes.
But then we got a hitchhike in 5 minutes, so
yeah,
Oh,
worked out.
perfect, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So
It was good.
that's a good hitch.
And you can't see it, but the best part is if you like looked from the right side of our window, you can see a Taco Bell from our room, which is absolutely amazing. We've already eaten like
All of it.
10 tacos, and after this, I know for sure I'm walking right back.
He walked in and went, "What's the biggest party box that you have?" And then bought it.
I've been craving Taco Bell since I began this trail.
Yeah,
Since before I began this
10
trail.
tacos and 5 burritos and like 4 little like quesadilla things and like giant drinks. We got in at 10 o'clock. It's now 5. We've demolished it.
It was glorious.
Ready for the next box.
Yeah, I'm like thinking about going back to Taco Bell actually.
It's 100% going to go back.
Okay, nice. I think it was after we started talking to you guys that because in New South Wales where we lived, for sure there were no Taco Bells.
Yeah.
But now we're up in Queensland, and at some places we can see Taco Bell here as well. We didn't know.
I wonder if it's the same in Australia.
And it's not necessarily good to go.
It's not good at all.
We didn't try it yet.
No.
It's a lot of food for not very much. Sorry, what was that?
I just want to try it purely because of everything that we heard about it. So
Yeah, don't go in with high hopes. It's the main appeal of Taco Bell is that it's extremely cheap.
It's
yeah.
Like that party box that we ordered, and I ordered another thing as well. Our entire order was like $20. And it was enough to feed like 6 normal people.
It's Taco Bell isn't a restaurant, it's an experience. Like you're not going for the food, you're going to experience what it means to eat at a Taco Bell.
You're going to experience spending $3 for 4,000 calories.
Yeah.
Well, let's see.
I mean, sorry.
We will let you know as soon as we've tried it here as well. Probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
please do.
Yeah, with Australian prices,
Oh,
I'm
most
assuming.
likely,
So.
Yeah.
I'm excited to hear what you guys think. Please do. I mean, I have a feeling you're gonna be like terrible food, but it was an experience.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you guys want to help me also convince Magpie of something, I would really appreciate the help. So we're going for a lot of goals. You know how we've talked about goals before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found the best goal that I think I've ever found in my life on any trail system. So you know how big the NCT is? A giant trail, like 4,600, 700 miles. So we're going for big mile averages, which is okay, whatever. Miles. Hiking's hiking, but I've thought I could try to average 1 pickled egg per mile.
He saw this big jar.
Awesome.
His original goal was he saw this big 6-pound jar of pickled eggs, like this big of pickled eggs. And he was like, I hate pickled eggs. I should pack those out. And I was like, no, you should not. And he was like, but it's 6 pounds of pickled eggs, Magpie. And I was like, no, you're not doing that. And he's like, what if I averaged an egg per mile? I'm like, that would be 30 eggs a day. You'd have to pack out a jar of these every day.
It would be such a commitment.
He hates pickled eggs.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. She's like, it's disgusting.
So now I'm like supervising him at the grocery store so that he doesn't come back to the room with a jar of pickled eggs.
She won't let me shop alone anymore. Like, she won't let me go to the grocery store
The
alone.
last time I let you go to the grocery store alone, you resupplied almost entirely on Slim Jims, which which you also don't like.
No, I don't.
He's like, I hate Slim Jims. I'm like, why did you buy them? He's like, they were there.
Oh.
Terrible.
Reason why shopping with him is like being with like a very verbal toddler.
Oh, what a comparison.
We don't need cupcakes. You already have cookies, but I want cupcakes, but we have cookies. Oh, well, how about Fruit Loops? Okay, you can have Fruit Loops.
Oh, what a comparison. Yeah.
And then he goes, can we get? No.
She won't let me ride around in the cart though, so it's not the same.
You've never asked to ride around in the cart.
That's
I would
true.
let you ride around in the cart. Then you can grab stuff.
Next time.
So,
but I'm convinced about pickled eggs though.
Mm-mm.
thumbs up?
Oh, I'd like to see it try.
No, don't encourage him. I have to sleep
love
with it.
it.
I have to
I
sleep in the
love
tent
it.
next to him after he eats the
I
pickled
love
eggs.
it. So the best part about it is I wouldn't be probably eating them like on trail, like as we were hiking. I would just have to power
Wow,
through
yeah.
like 150 when I
In
got
town.
every time I got
He's
to
gonna
town.
he's like, I'm gonna lock the bathroom door, and you're gonna knock and be like, are you okay? You're just gonna find me in the shower shoveling pickled eggs into my mouth. Just crying and eating pickled eggs.
That's the best part about it. Is maybe I might pack out a few just to help the average, but town is going to be a heavy day in many aspects.
We're getting separate hotel rooms if you attempt this.
Yeah.
You're never gonna
I
look
like it.
forward to going into a town anymore, and you just want to stay on the trail from now
Like,
on.
oh, let's
Yeah, Magpie's like, no, we
Yeah.
went to a town 6 days ago. We're fine. We can keep hiking.
But then
Yeah.
you have to eat thousands and thousands at the end, so I'm not sure if that's gonna be great.
See, your mind's like my mind. There's ways to do it, and every way that you think about it is a different type of suffer level, which is awesome. Like if you did it daily on the trail, that's suffering in a different aspect. If you did it one day out of the week, I'm letting time slip by. I mean, if
Well,
she keeps supervising me, it's gonna get worse and worse. So
and the other
I
thing
gotta
too,
start soon.
so one of my best friends is like promised/threatened to mail us a cabbage. And so he's like, oh, I'll have pickled eggs and cabbage. I'm like, great. and then he turns to me and goes, how big's a cabbage? Like this big. And he's like, oh no.
As you can
can
see,
carry
we've
it.
been on. Yeah, I'll carry it. As you can see, we've been on trail long enough to get super weird already.
Oh yeah, getting weird. You're always super weird.
Higher levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, and knowing that we've still got more than 4,000 miles to go, so
It scares me. It scares me every day. It worries me every day.
Hmm.
I bet it worries you too.
No.
No.
I've already been there.
But yeah, I mean, any specific questions about the trail systems we've come through, or kind of the miles through New York? Any specific questions?
no specific questions. It's always just good to learn about the stories and
Yeah, see how the
see
miles
how
Lot
went.
of-
it went.
Yeah, it's just I feel like sometimes I don't want to ramble. I think I've said this too much. Don't want to ramble way too much. When I get on a tangent, this is how we
the
hike.
experience of the trail though, like sure there's like miles, there's ups and downs, like the elevation gain, that all makes a difference in the character of the trail, but most of what you remember
It's
is
these
the
things.
interactions of like, it can't like the ongoing joke about pickled eggs, or we also have this like now 2-year running joke about how we're gonna go to Olive Garden but we never do,
Yes.
because Olive Garden is actually terrible, but like when we are on trail we're like, oh, endless breadsticks, give me that salad that they just keep giving you and giving you and giving you, to the point that for my birthday, as a joke, you sent me an Olive Garden gift card, and we're never going to use it. We can't, because the joke is that we never go to Olive Garden.
It has money on it, so maybe one day we'll go to Olive Garden.
Maybe someday in the far distant future, we'll be in a town and the only thing to eat will be Olive Garden. We'll be like, finally, our moment has arrived.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's distilling down. It's always hard too. It's like distilling down a story that has been spanned over like 2 weeks. Like that pickled egg story has been growing for 2 weeks every day, and I have so many things to say about it, but
like it's not interesting to anyone else.
Yeah, I can't talk about it. Every little aspect and every little thought I've had in 1,000 directions about it, but suffice to say, there's so many great things about it that I want to try.
Yeah.
And I like we got a 50-50 split too.
What?
She said no, and he said I want to see.
Yeah, I think majority vote, maybe even unanimous.
Well, so now it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Oh, we got Mark. We got Mark on our side. All right, we got majority. We got majority.
You're not doing it.
We got Jasper on our side.
No.
We have majority.
No.
Big time.
Majority rules.
You're still banned from grocery shopping.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're looking forward to next time to hear about the pickled eggs.
For sure.
Yeah, so next stop should be Watkins, Glen. We're gonna try to, as Memorial Day is coming up, we're gonna try to I think do 4 days into Watkins. That would put us near the 20th. Then I think probably a big section is coming up for us because
we haven't looked farther ahead than that.
Yeah, and everywhere around New York for Memorial Day is like crazy expensive. I mean, when we were looking at Cortland, we were looking at the motels and it was like, oh yeah, average price motels. And then I was looking at
weekend, they
calendar,
go up to like $200.
And it goes up to like 200 for like the worst like hood motel that you can find. I'm like, nah, we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to be on trail for that weekend.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, we got another ongoing joke about the NCT.
What about
how they route trail.
I don't think it's even a joke.
Yeah,
it just seems like they like purposefully take you in these like little like random loops instead of, because there's this one specific place where like the trail goes all the way over the hill and then down the other side. But instead of like putting you on that developed trail over the hill and then down the other side, they put you like down 800 feet, around, up 800 feet, down, up 800 feet, down, up 800 feet. And then you're like, oh, we're half a mile from where we started and we've hiked 4 miles.
Oh,
and we're like, it's like, I think they actually just want to make it longer. Like they just want to get it to 5,000 miles. And they're just like, how many stupid little loops can we make these people do?
we had a joke, we're like, yeah, they can do a 3/4 circle and we're dumb enough to do it.
If they made a full circle.
But if they made a full circle, they're like, they're not going to go in a circle and then say you can cut off to the other side.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And there's so many fields that they put you through. I mean, part of it makes sense because some of it is like private land. And so the owners don't want you like cutting across, but some of it isn't. And they're just like, instead of like putting you diagonally through a flat field, they're like, boop, boop. It's like, why? It just cuts.
But yeah, we were just cracking up because there's this old sign at a trailhead.
Oh, yeah.
And it said NCT
4,177 miles.
Yeah, 175 miles. We're like, where'd they find 500 extra miles? Like,
and the map, like the big overview map, they're like, it's New York. It's like New York to North Dakota, 4,177 miles. We're like, they just fit 400 extra miles in there somehow.
Yeah. Well, you found them.
Yeah.
We're finding it. Yeah, because like, that's why I underestimated Ithaca so much, because like Ithaca is like right here and we're right here. But like the trail goes this, and then gets to Ithaca. So it's not like, as the crow flies, we could be in Ithaca
10 miles away.
Yeah, 10
Okay.
miles.
Yeah.
But we're actually 60 miles away by the trail.
So my underestimation was
Partly understandable.
partly understandable.
I should have done the math first though, because I was like, I don't think that seems right. And then I packed out a little bit of extra food. I'm like, I bet it'll be an extra day. Maybe it's an extra 20 miles. No. It's an extra 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're finding a lot of laughs along the NCT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mostly in him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just seeing some nice places as well, like some beautiful scenery.
Yeah, some places in Eastern New York were really beautiful, but they were made more difficult because Eastern New York, I don't know what they're doing. It's been official for 2 years that that's part of the trail, and the maps are just like nowhere near accurate. The red line, at one point, the red line on the map was like, walk through this person's house and directly across a pond. We were like, I don't think so.
No.
I think we're gonna take this road that's 10 feet away. Like, and so they're actually 30 miles too short the way that they've calculated it. So we were supposed to get to Rome, New York was supposed to be based on like the NCT's own published maps on their website, about 250 miles, 248. When we got there, our GPS is actually recording how long we've actually hiked, and it's pretty accurate. It was saying 281 miles. And so there's some beautiful section in there, but a lot of it is made frustrating because even the base maps that they give you, even when you're like, okay, that red line's definitely not accurate, but there's this dotted line that shows a trail that goes kind of the same direction. They've gone out there and blazed it. And the trails that they've blazed are not the red line, not the dotted line. It's just a line to the middle of nowhere. You don't know where you're going. You don't know how long it is. You don't know where it's going to eventually connect back up with the things that they do have accurate. And it's just really, I at least find it very frustrating when I'm like, I have no idea where we are or what to expect or where this trail is going, but there's an NCT sign on it. So I guess we have to do it. And, you know, and also like the first couple weeks in Eastern New York, we're just like really rainy and cold. And it's hard to enjoy the trail. And then it's extra frustrating when you're like, this trail goes nowhere. Interesting. It's really wet and I want to get to town.
Out east. Yeah, Eastern New York.
It was really bad.
It was pretty off. Like, not completely off, but like each day you would find about 4 or 5 miles that were off on their GPX track. So like the GPX track of the NCT that we grabbed and put into our map systems, it would use pre-existing trails. And then the NCT, like you said, had been out there and blazed stuff.
But they hadn't bothered to
recorded it where it went. So,
and I don't understand why you would go out there and actually do the work of blazing it and not just wear a GPS tracker and then send that file. Because you're out there anyway.
And what we wondered was, being in the Adirondacks, like that's where it was mostly off, like those small sections in there, is how much of it was from beavers, because like when you were walking through this stuff, beavers were changing the landscape probably every year. Like they were flooding different parts of these valleys with different dams, different stuff like that. So that one trail that the NCT Blaze was on, there might be like 3 old ones, like all finger webbed within it. So it's messy. It would be hard to actually maintain that and then also let that grow as the beavers kept routing stuff through it. And that was a serious note. On a fun note about the beavers, Magpie said we can adopt 2 beavers.
No, I did not. You are the one who keeps saying you want to adopt beavers, and I'm the one who keeps telling you that 1, it's illegal, and 2, it's a very bad idea. Beavers will eat your house.
Yes.
We never have to do carpentry again. I mean, it makes sense, guys. I mean, it just is the best thing out there. Like, we just get 2 beavers, and it's kind of like they love chewing wood. We don't got to cut the wood. It's perfect.
They are very cute. I did see a young beaver crossing the road, and I was like, "Aw!" And then I was like, "Wait, that's a beaver. Hold on." But like there has been some beautiful stuff on this trail, especially the last couple of days.
Central New York has
when the sun's come out, and now we're like fully in spring. Like when we started, it was sort of wintry mix, and nothing was like leafing out yet. But yesterday, actually, we walked through along this ridge line that was just covered in blooming trillium flowers, which are these like white lily looking flowers. And so it was just this like dark green foliage and white flowers as far as you could see. It was beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Central New York has just been rolling hills. I mean, you're in the thick woods for a little bit, and then you pop out and it's just farmland. And we walked by like an Amish field the other day, and there was first the mom or dad that drove by on a tractor, and then we saw like a forklift behind, and we're like,
and it's an 8-year-old kid driving.
It was like an 8-year-old kid, and we're like, we did a double take. We're like, wait, what? And then it's like, oh, okay, it's kind of just that culture around there, just that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, Central New York, you forget how much of New York is like really beautiful land, like really rural, beautiful land. It's been pretty cool.
And of course, all these like religious folks have like the most beautiful horses and the most beautiful pastures and the best kept cows and like cute old red barns.
The
So
cows.
that's been pretty. Even the roadwalks have been pretty, actually,
Okay.
because it's just this scenic, sort of idyllic American farmland scene.
It is. Each day there's a picture, at least one picture from each day on those rolling hills that you just like, it feels like a postcard of the iconic rolling farmland of Central America.
Whatever,
Whatever,
yeah.
not Central New York, Central, just like America. It's really pretty.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. And you mentioned that you see signposts. Is it well signposted?
Oh God.
Yeah. In places it is. In places it's not.
No.
So out of the 400 miles we've done, first 100 Vermont to where the old Eastern Terminus was, Crown Point, very well blazed. So first 100, pretty well blazed.
Yeah.
Then the Adirondacks.
Not at all. Only the places where they very recently changed it from the map are blazed at all. And the rest of it is just like, well, so the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, that's a long acronym. The Department of Conservation has these different circular signs that tell you what each trail is for. And those are really well blazed. That'll say like foot trail or cross country ski trail or whatever. And there are a lot of places where the NCT will just put it at the junction. So you're like, okay, take this trail to be the NCT, and then you just follow the Department of Conservation signs. And then occasionally where the NCT has changed recently, it'll be a couple of NCT signs in that section, just so that you know you're still on the right track. And then as soon as we got out to the Finger Lakes,
oh man,
NCT signs everywhere. Also, so many trail registers because it's really set up for day hikers.
We've actually,
so you cross a road like every 2-3 miles, and at every road crossing, there's a trail register.
Even
we signed, I think, almost 30 trail registers in the past 2 days.
Okay, wow.
And even not breaking, like not sitting down at the trail register to sign, but just like standing with your pack on just and like signing, it takes like an hour of
out
your
of our day.
When
it
you're
takes
signing
2 minutes
15,
at everyone.
when you're signing 15 trail logs,
and
you're like, what the hell, guys? Like, you love it, so, but it's also like,
and they really want you to sign everyone. Like, there's a sign over each of them that's like, please sign. It helps us like get funding for the trail.
So,
and then of course we flip through them, and it's like everyone's like, had a lovely day hiking, did 6 miles. We're like, cool.
So what I did to make it fun was I started playing with the word fluffy.
Oh yeah, he started signing them like Fluffy McFluffington and like Lord Fluffers the Third.
So every time Magpie would sign, I'm just picturing the Finger Lakes Trail Association collecting the logs at the end of the year. And so like each day it would be half and half, like she would sign half, I would sign half. So like half of them are going to be Magpie being like NCT through like Magpie, and then she'll write something fun or her type of humor, like kind of straightforward and just blunt. But then the other ones they collect, they'll just see Fluff the Huda Fluff and Miss Fluffington the Third going westbound. And I just kept making up names with Fluffy involved. So I'm cracking up thinking of the FLTA when they collect those at the end of the year.
And you're like, who is this guy?
Oh, that will be fun.
Yeah, they'll know because like at the end I'll write like actually Constantine and Magpie, and then I'll also write a little PS note saying, but if you can get those other 2 trail names to stick, it would be greatly appreciated.
You can't even remember what they are. They're not going to stick.
I took a picture of every single one.
Oh no.
She thinks she knows the way around my mind, and then I have these little techniques that it's like, no, I got this. Yeah, you thought you knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, blazes. Eastern New York was really the only iffy part, and then it's been good since then.
Yeah.
And will you be sharing your GPS file with the NCT Association as well, that they potentially could use that to update their maps? Or
if they want it,
if they want it.
There is another hiker on the trail right now called Apple Pie who we think is doing some routing work.
Okay.
So if she's got it covered, also like there was one section where we got it substantially wrong. So like
Which
hopefully they won't use that part because we just
which section did we get it wrong?
Lime Kiln Lake.
That's just a bushwhack. There's no trail through there.
Well,
like
it's like, but there's
every person that's gone through there, Buck, everyone that's done the NCT as a through hike, he like messaged us like
there's like allegedly a trail through there.
there's nothing through there. You just got to bushwhack. Like you
We
gotta,
followed an ATV track until it like turned the wrong direction, and then we were like,
It's
well,
just-
this kind of looks like a trail. I think we're okay. And we're like, oh yeah, I see something over there. And we walked and it was just like an old bucket that was just rusty and just sitting there. And we were like, oh,
and
this isn't a trail. And then we were like, okay, how do we get out? Like,
Yep.
Wow.
And this is
okay.
like the definition of the Eastern Adirondacks. All when we were talking about the off routing as well as the trails, it's like the GPX track of the NCT had you going this way, and then there's like a line on the map that recognized trail going this way
and we went
And-
here.
because there's nothing here, there's nothing
Nothing there.
here, and also there's swamps around here because beavers or whatever it may
Something.
be. So it's kind of like you just got a bushwhack, but that was the only like big bushwhack.
That was the only
like,
really bad one.
consistent one.
Okay. Yeah.
So with the NCT, we would share them. We're sharing them right now, like with anybody that wants to follow along. We can only set our GPS to ping every 10 minutes. So like I was just looking at it today and you can see the trail system sometimes on it, but like my ping will be here and maybe here. And the trail goes like this.
Yeah.
And instead of it walking the trail, the ping will go like this.
Yeah.
It'll go across it. And it's like, to get that type of data, you have to have like
You have to have somebody there, like actually
clicking a
plotting
ping
it.
maybe every minute instead of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But for a through hike, you can't,
Yeah.
you can't really do it every minute.
Well, and
and-
mapping GPS is just different.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can base the route off of it. Like you can look at all that map data and be like, of course, this is the way they went. There's only one trail in front of me. That's the trail I'm going to walk. But if they want it, yeah. If they want it, yeah. But I don't foresee them wanting it. And the NCT has so many. A big thing with them too is like the Finger Lakes Trail that we're on right now, then the Buckeye Trail, and then the Superior Hiking Trail are 3 trail agencies within it that are very proprietarily strict on their maps.
Yeah.
Like
they make all
They're-
their money by selling
Yeah.
the maps. And so of course they're expensive and they don't want anyone else sharing the route. They don't want you to publish where it goes because they're like, oh, we rely on the income from selling maps in order to protect the trail. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like, we don't want to give away that data and undermine their operation.
Yeah.
yeah, so like even on the NCTA's website, it has the route that you go through those 3 places, but when you're on the ground, their map's not going to work for you. Like you need the Trail Association's map. So even tracking it and people seeing it right now, it's not going to take away anything from it. Because
Our GPS
It's
is so
not-
inaccurate.
no, it's accurate. It's just these like
It's
the
just not
NCTs,
useful, yeah.
It's just not useful. Like you're not going to be able to look at that and be like, oh, I need to take a left right on this road right here, or take a right here. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, we'll give it to them if they
If
want
they
it.
want
but
it.
I highly doubt they will.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, we could help gut hook at some point from Ohio westbound, but again, Apple Pie is doing. I'm pretty sure she's doing Ohio eastbound to Vermont. So like the stuff we're in right now,
Yeah.
I'm almost positive she's going to be routing that for gut hook because she's done other trails for him. So we don't want to step on toes that way or anything like that. But for westbound, it's going to be mostly road walks. Not mostly, but a lot.
A lot.
And sometimes trail systems or map systems, they don't.
So that with it
they
being
don't-
road walk, what the reason why he's saying it wouldn't be useful for us to map it is because their eventual goal is to get it off of the roads.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so those are going to change, and they change a little bit every year. So
You
it
need
might
some-
not be that relevant even in a year from now.
Mm.
And that's why big names like the map systems that are out there may not have something like this in their repertoire of maps, because to keep it accurate, somebody has to hike it every year.
Yeah.
And nobody
Exactly.
hikes the NCT.
Yeah.
Only us.
High five.
We're idiots.
Yeah, well, we knew this. They knew this way long ago. Before you came in and started chatting together. They already knew.
Yeah.
Before the Pickled Eggs fiasco. We're gonna have to get a better name for it. We can brainstorm on the
Pickled
name.
Eggs fiasco sounds like a polka band or something. Like a punk polka band. Pickled Eggs fiasco.
I don't want to call it a disaster because there's a beauty in it. What's
Okay.
like a good poetic
We
term?
gotta get off of this topic.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah.
So,
one question quickly, hopefully quickly. So you mentioned that a lot of the route or the trail is on private land. So how does that work? Do you have to get permission to hike that, or as long as you hike through one day?
yeah.
It is okay.
It's public land easements. So that means that the landowner has, sometimes with conditions, allowed the trail to be routed through their land, but you're not allowed to leave the trail and you're not allowed to camp there. You're only allowed to pass through. Yeah. And then also some of the stuff that's like, we're talking about like private land is actually, we're walking on a road and everything is owned next to us on each side. So we're just like walking in the shoulder of a highway, or in the case of the Finger Lakes, there's actually quite a bit of private land on the Finger Lakes Trail as well. And so it'll be like a farmer will ask you to skirt the boundaries of their field and then join a driveway, and then you get back to the state forest.
And then like something we ran into even yesterday is like when you're going onto their easement, it'll have a sign that says Finger Lakes Trail, but then also below it, it'll say when that trail is open. So like some farmers will close that part of the trail from October 1st to December 25th. We saw
because that's deer hunting season.
So we saw that sign a lot yesterday. There
And
was
then
like one that closed it from like
there was from like please be quiet from like dawn to noon because we're hunting grouse. And we were like, okay, we'll be quiet. And then tomorrow or the next day, we're going to run into a situation where we're going to have to, unfortunately, the FLT actually provides workarounds for this because they work with these landowners, but it's actually closed for all of May for some kind of hunting season. And so they have given us a map that also includes like a little road walk that we can do to get around it.
Okay.
But some of the fall hunting season ones are awful.
I couldn't imagine.
There's this one section.
There's no way. You would be road walking.
There's this one section where I think it's like 0.7 miles of trail that's closed from October 1st to December 21st. And the road walk to get around it is almost 6 miles.
Nice.
Yeah. So it sucks to be those guys.
Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. And that's what I was worried about in New York. Camping, all the private land, but also
hunting closures. But the season, we're doing it. Also a great reason to go westbound. This way. Yeah.
You get the hardest stuff done in the beginning.
And you don't have to worry about deer season.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about hunting season. You get it's the bulk of the logistically challenging, and if you look at it a certain way, physically challenging stuff done first. Like our miles are going to increase.
It's only going to get easier.
Because it's getting flatter. And so it's getting a lot of stuff done.
Yeah.
Not quickly, but quicker than going the other way.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
So we're close to a 10th done.
We're trucking
Close
along.
to a 10th done. We're getting there.
Good.
For sure.
Yeah.
We're getting there. 9/10 more of the trail and 10/10, which 400% of a pickled eggs to eat.
Yes.
Every time I say it, she does.
Yeah.
It sounds disgusting, pickled eggs.
It is disgusting. It's awful.
Disgusting. Next time you're in a grocery store, does Australia not have them?
Most likely they will.
I don't know. Never.
She's like, I don't.
Never looked at it.
Next time you're in a grocery store, if you go to, I don't even know what section they put it in.
Pickles,
Dairy,
I guess.
It's like in the refrigerated section. It's mostly at like big box chains like Walmart or Tops or
I don't know, man. I think it's kind of hard to find pickled eggs. I think they just like pickled eggs a lot in New York. Because there was a pallet of them sitting outside of the grocery store and they were on sale. And I was like, oh, I wonder why.
Keep the eyes peeled for them next time you're in a grocery store. And if you see them, that cringe factor will go up higher because
it looks like a goddamn science experiment.
Yeah, in person it's even worse. It's even worse than what's in your mind right now. So it's perfect.
It just looks like a bunch of like livers floating in formaldehyde. It's nasty.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
That sounds like a perfect idea.
And she gets to hike with me and camp together.
Love it.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely looking forward to that catch up next time.
Yep.
I promise you guys. I make this promise now, a solemn swear right now. I will have at least one pickled egg by the time we catch up. She might kill me if I start this goal in earnest, but I will have at least one pickled egg.
Okay. We'll check.
I can permit one.
I will try to shower. Eat more, but if she catches me, we might have to stagger the talks. We have to do an hour with me and an hour.
All right, but yeah, we'll look forward to catching up with you next time on that note.
Yes, definitely.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Definitely. Well, you're off to Taco Bell.
Yeah, we actually are.
Yeah, we are.
I'm gonna hit the grocery store as well.
Oh yeah.
Sounds
Awesome.
good. Well, enjoy dinner.
Enjoy dinner indeed.
We will.
You guys too. Oh, enjoy the morning. Yeah. Have a good day and thanks. Yeah, this was fun.
Talk to you again soon.
Talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.